There's a quiet but growing storm brewing beneath the surface of our daily lives. And it's not just geopolitical shifts or market instability. The collective weight of an uncertain future, whether it's the war in Ukraine, looming trade conflicts, inflation, or the waves of layoffs hitting countless industries, is settling into our bodies, often showing up in one of the most vulnerable places, our sleep. For many, the stress of the times is no longer just background noise. It's a chronic presence that follows us to bed, disrupts our nights, and chips away at our health. Insomnia, already a widespread issue, is becoming even more common in the face of this ongoing uncertainty. And it's not just occasional sleepless nights we're talking about. Experts are warning that what starts as short-term stress-induced insomnia can easily turn into a long-term condition with serious consequences. Heart disease, strokes, depression, and anxiety are all closely linked with chronic insomnia. And as more people struggle to maintain even a basic sense of restfulness, these risks grow alarmingly real. Doctors and sleep researchers confirm that moments of political and societal upheaval have historically led to spikes in sleep disturbances. What's especially concerning now is that we're facing a seemingly endless series of destabilizing events. For those already prone to anxiety, or for anyone who's had minor sleep issues in the past, the current environment can be enough to push them over the edge. Sleep, which should be a refuge, becomes another battlefield. And unfortunately, we often react in ways that only worsen the problem. In the middle of the night, it's tempting to reach for our phones, check the news, or scroll through social media in the hopes of distraction. But this behavior only feeds the cycle. The blue light from our screens halts melatonin production, tricking our brains into believing it's daytime. Others may turn to late-night eating, which invites digestion problems, or even middle-of-the-night workouts, raising body temperature and adrenaline at the worst possible time. These are well-meaning but misguided attempts to reclaim control, and they often backfire. Even more insidious is the way insomnia reshapes our thoughts. What begins as a few bad nights can spiral into dread about sleep itself. People begin to anticipate the struggle, lying in bed consumed by the fear that they won't fall asleep, which of course becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The bed, once a place of comfort, becomes a source of anxiety and frustration. Over time, this association becomes ingrained, making restful sleep even harder to find. What makes this even more troubling is that insomnia rarely exists in isolation. It often coexists with other mental health issues, depression, generalized anxiety, PTSD, and when sleep breaks down, our capacity to manage emotional stress crumbles with it. We become more irritable, less resilient, and more prone to catastrophizing. And in an age where every headline seems like an alarm bell, the lack of rest only deepens our sense of vulnerability. Yes, there are treatments that work. Cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, CBTI, has shown promising results, focusing on reframing thoughts around sleep and building healthier bedtime routines. But access to this therapy isn't always easy or immediate, and by the time someone reaches that point, they may have spent months or years trapped in the cycle. The reality is that this issue isn't just personal, it's systemic. We live in a world that never turns off. We're encouraged to be hyper-informed, hyper-productive, and constantly connected, even when our bodies and minds are begging for stillness. And now, with so many sources of stress piling up at once, the costs of our collective restlessness are becoming impossible to ignore. Sleep is foundational. Without it, our ability to cope, connect, and function slowly unravels. And yet, for many, it's becoming more elusive by the day. As individuals, we can make small changes, setting news curfews, avoiding screens, limiting caffeine and alcohol, but these actions can only go so far in a world that continues to fuel anxiety. If we don't address the root of this insomnia epidemic, we may find ourselves facing a deeper health crisis, one not just of sleepless nights, but of deteriorating well-being across generations. The world may not slow down anytime soon, but we can't afford to ignore the toll it's taking in the silence of our bedrooms.